Welcome to the Padres Postgame Show on the Padres Radio Network. Coming up, we'll deliver a full recap of today's game, including highlights from the biggest moments. We'll take a trip down to the manager's office to hear from Mike Shildt. Plus, we'll bring you scores from around Major League Baseball. The Padres Postgame Show starts now on the Padres Radio Network.
Suarez stares into Campusano. Now he comes set. The 1-2 pitch kind of muscled off the handle into shallow left. Kim is back. He makes the catch, and the ball game is over. Padres wrap up a 5-2 road trip with a 10-inning win here in Cincinnati. The final score this afternoon, the Padres 6 and the Reds 4.
It'll be a very happy flight back to San Diego. Padres polish off a really nice road trip as they beat the Cincinnati Reds by a final score of 6-4 to take 2 out of 3 from Cincinnati. They win both series on this road trip. Padres move back above 500 at 27-26 as they win this one in 10 innings, scoring 2 in the top of the 10th inning. And the Padres pick up a very nice series win on the road in Cincinnati. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios here on the Padres Radio Network. Great to have you with us on this Thursday afternoon. Lot to do on our post-game coverage. We'll have all the radio highlights for you. Hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt and much, much more to come. But first, some initial thoughts for you, and I think we'll start with sort of the zoom out on where the Padres were entering this road trip, because I think it's important to note. Remember, the Padres, heading on the road, had just been swept by the Colorado Rockies in what was a really disappointing series, especially considering how well the Padres had been playing before that. Then they get swept by Colorado in a 3-game series. And, kind of felt, I think, for a lot of the fans out there like the sky may have been falling a little bit. I don't think it felt like that inside the Padres clubhouse, but a lot of reaction to, and rightfully so, to what the Padres did against the Rockies. And then you're looking at the road trip. 4 games in Atlanta, a really, really good team as always in Atlanta, and then 3 games in Cincinnati. And the Padres put together, to their credit, a really, really good road trip. I think any of us would have signed up for 5-2 when this road trip started. This game here today, Padres, and Jesse and Tony alluded to it, sort of a different feeling between a 4-3 trip and a 5-2 trip. There just is. So you felt like this was sort of a big game here today. Had early offense, 2 runs in the first inning, 2 runs in the second. I'll get into what Luis Ariz did once again here today. He continues to just be sensational. So the Padres get out to a 4-1 lead. Reds make it 4-2. They get the 2-run home run from Martini in the 6th inning to make it 4-4. Padres offense goes quiet for a while. We end up going to extra innings tied at 4. But to the Padres' credit, and this is something that, as we know, they really, really struggled with last season, they took advantage in the extra inning in that 10th inning. You had Ariz pick up his 4th hit on what was a beautiful drag bunt. Fernando Tatis Jr. comes up, puts the Padres ahead with the RBI double. They get one more run. You felt like they should have had at least one more. Manny Machado grounds into an inning-ending double play with the bases loaded. So that was frustrating. But then Robert Suarez comes in, and he does what Robert Suarez has been doing all year. 14 saves now in 14 opportunities, relatively drama-free. Suarez now has an ERA of 0.40 to begin his season. He continues to be absolutely terrific. So the Padres, you felt like this was a game they really needed today to really polish off a great road trip, and now you feel like you can firmly say it, a great road trip for the Padres going 5-2. But also a game as it went along that you felt like they should win just as it got deeper, and especially when they took the lead in the 10th inning and considering they had the 4-1 lead to begin with. So all in all, a game here today that you wanted the Padres to have. They found a way to win it in extras. You'll certainly take that. And a really, really good road trip. And again, when you zoom out, you put it in the context of where this team was going on the road. Man, Really, really nice bounce back in response. And hey, you needed it because you got a tough series against a hot Yankees team coming in, and a Yankees team that might be the best in the American League right now. So tough series coming up. You wanted this game here today. Let's get into some of the individual performances in this one, because Luis Arraez at the very top of this lineup continues to be just tremendous. 4 more hits here today. The first time in his major league career he's ever had back-to-back 4-hit games, so congratulations to Luis on that. He now has multiple hits in 8 consecutive games, and if you zoom out, you look at what he's done since the trade, Arraez is batting .419 in 17 games since being traded to the Padres, and also in the midst of a career-long 28 consecutive game on-base streak. Even in this game, Arraez, leadoff single in the first inning, ends up getting forced out at second base when Fernando Tatis Jr. grounds into a fielder's choice. But hey, Padres ended up getting 2 runs in that inning on the Manny Machado 2-run double. So he contributed there. He had an RBI single in the second, in the 10th inning. And this is what he's done so well time and time again early on. You look at that 10th inning. You have Campusano on second base, the automatic runner, and Arraez does it differently. A beautiful drag bunt, beats it out, and that kind of sparked the whole inning, right? Tatis, RBI double. They end up walking Profar intentionally. Cronenworth, a sac fly, and just like that, you have a 2-run lead in the 10th inning. So he continues to be just fantastic as advertised. We've talked about it all weekend. He went 10 for 14 in this 3-game series in Cincinnati. Beyond that, David Peralta had a really nice game. 3 hits in his second game as a Padre, a run scored, so you like that. And then on the pitching side, and we'll get more into this as we go along here, but on the pitching side, Matt Waldron, solid in this game. Sort of a similar outing for Matt as, what we've seen from him in the sense of early. It's been a little shaky. He found ways to limit damage, and you look up, he gets through 5 innings, 2 runs given up, walked a couple, struck out 7, 6 hits. So was it, a great outing for Matt Waldron? No, but he held his own, and he's done that particular thing well, limiting damage. And he did that here in this game today. So a little shaky to start, but ultimately pitched pretty well. 5 innings, 2 runs given up. The other place to focus on, the back end of the bullpen today, Yuki Matsui, inning and a third scoreless. I'll tell you what, I'll spoil it for you now. As far as relief pitcher of the game, how about Jeremiah Estrada? I mean, this guy continues to be outstanding. Works a scoreless 8th inning. This is all in a tie game. Strikes out the side of the 9th inning, gets 6 outs in this game. He strikes out 5 batters out of the 6 outs he got on 30 pitches. He continues to be absolutely terrific. And what a development that has been on this road trip in front of Robert Suarez, who you just have so much faith in right now. And Suarez, again, now 14 for 14 in save opportunities. And out of all the things we've seen on this road trip, I'll tell you what, in the big picture of this team, yeah, obviously Arraez, a big deal, the way he continues to play. Obviously, there wasn't, it all wasn't roses on this road trip. Xander Bogaerts goes down with the injury. He's going to be out, sounds like at least a couple of months here. But having Jeremiah Estrada step forward as what looks like, your primary setup guy in the 8th inning, man, 8th inning, 7th inning, whatever it ends up being, wherever that key spot pops up, man, what a nice development for this bullpen. It really, really is. We've talked about that path to Robert Suarez, right, and how that path has been kind of rocky at times. And look, it was another tough outing today for Eniel De Los Santos, but that's a big, big development on this road trip, the way that Jeremiah Estrada continues to perform. And again, 2 scoreless innings, big innings out of the bullpen here today, and Estrada picks up the win, his first win as a Padre. So a lot of good stuff in this game. Really nice road trip as the Padres go 5-2 to Atlanta and Cincinnati. When we come back on the Padres Radio Network, we'll have all the radio highlights for you. We'll recap this game in its entirety. We'll also go back to Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati, hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt, and much, much more to come as the Padres beat the Reds in 10 innings. The final, Padres 6, Reds 4. Much more to come after this on the Padres Radio Network.
play and was rewarded.
Our post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Final score in 10 innings here today. Padres 6 and the Reds 4 in Cincinnati. Sam Levitt with you here inside our San Diego studios as we wrap this one up. A very successful road trip for the Padres. They go 5-2. Padres back above 500 at 27-26. And a tough series coming up against the New York Yankees starting tomorrow. We'll have much more on tomorrow's game and that series coming up in just a little while. We'll go back to Cincinnati in just a little bit, hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt, but let's break down this extra inning affair on this Thursday in Cincy.
What moments had the biggest impact on today's game? We'll paint you a picture with our game recap on the Padres Radio Network.
The Padres got off to a quick start against Red starter Frankie Montas in the top of the first inning. There were runners on first and third with 2 out for Manny Machado.
Profar at first, Tatis at third. The pitch lined sharply in the air down the right field line. Martini over into the corner. He's looking up. It bounces against the base of the wall. Tatis has scored. Profar's on his way. The throw goes to second. No chance. A 2-run double. And the Padres lead it 2-0 here in the first.
Matt Waldron took the mound in the bottom half of the first inning. There was a runner on second base for Jeimer Candelario.
Candelario rips this one down the right field line. A fair ball going to go into the corner. Urduby's rounding third. He'll score easily. Peralta just getting to it at the base of the wall. Candelario going to try for 3. Cronenworth's relay hits him, kicks away from Machado, trickles down the line, but backed up by Waldron, and so Candelario will stay at third base. That's an RBI triple, and now a 2-1 game here in the bottom of the first.
Reds would then have runners on first and third with 2 outs. They tried to pull off a double steal, but the Padres were all over it. They got Candelario at home to end the inning. Padres bats then got back to work in the top of the second. David Peralta hit a leadoff single. Jackson Merrill followed with a bunt single. Ha-Sung Kim walked to load the bases. Kyle Higashioka brought home a run with a fielder's choice. That made it a 3-1 game. Then Luis Arise, who already had a base hit in the first inning, stepped in with runners on first and third.
0-1. Montas delivers and Arise off the handle, floats it into shallow right field. That's going to get down and a base hit. Merrill trots home from third, an RBI single. Luis Arise. He's 2 for 2, and the Padres lead it 4-1.
But again, the Reds would respond in the bottom half of the inning. They loaded the bases against Matt Waldron with nobody out. The bases were still loaded with 1 out for Jacob Hurtubise.
0-1 pitch is lined into right field and a base hit. Peralta plays it on one hop, sends it in quickly. That will score Martini. And now 4-2 game here in the second. First Major League RBI for Jacob Hurtubise.
But Matt Waldron, as he's done so often this season, limited the damage. He stranded the bases loaded in the second. From that point, the score stayed 4-2 for a while. Waldron would go 5 innings and allow just those 2 early runs. We went to the bottom half of the 6th inning. Padres still ahead 4-2. Eniel De Los Santos entered from the Padre bullpen. He walked the first batter he faced. Nick Martini was next.
0-1, hit in the air to right field, pretty well struck. Peralta's backing up on the warning track, looking up, gonna go. We'll remember him now. 2-run homer for Nick Martini. This is a tie game, 4-4 in the bottom of the 6th.
So Martini tied the game. That was against De Los Santos. Yuki Matsui would come in and get the final out of the 6th inning. Matsui would end up playing a key part in this game because we remained tied at 4-4. Fernando Cruz tossed the scoreless top of the 7th inning. Then Matsui did the same in the bottom half. Lucas Sims pitched the scoreless top of the 8th inning. Jeremiah Estrada did the same for the Padres in the bottom half of the 8th inning. We were still tied 4-4 going to the top of the ninth inning. Padres didn't score, although they did get a one-out double from Ha-Sung Kim. He was picked off second base, a base-running blunder for Kim. Then Jeremiah Estrada struck out the side in the bottom half of the ninth inning. 2 scoreless innings out of the bullpen for Estrada. So we went to the 10th inning, tied at 4. Left-hander Sam Mull entered for the Reds. Luis Campusano was the Padres' automatic runner. He had come in earlier to pinch hit for Kyle Higashioka. Luis Arraez then dragged the bunt down the first base side. It was a great one. His 4th hit of the day and his 2nd consecutive 4-hit game. The Padres in the 10th inning, tied at 4, had runners on first and third with nobody out for Fernando Tatis Jr.
Ball is ready. Here's the 2-2 to Fernando. Swung on, ripped fair down the left field line. That's going to go to the corner. Campusano can walk home from third. Arraez is speeding towards third. He'll be held there. Tatis into second with an RBI double. And the Padres go back in front 5-4 here in the 10th.
The Reds then elected to intentionally walk Jurickson Profar to load the bases. Jake Cronenworth drove Arraez home from third base with a sac fly. It was 6-4. Padres could have had more in that inning. Manny Machado grounded into an inning-ending double play. So the Padres led 6-4. As we went bottom 10, the closer, Robert Suarez, came on for that bottom half of the 10th inning. Stuart Fairchild was the Reds' automatic runner on second base. Suarez struck out Ellie De La Cruz. He walked Jeimer Candelario to put the tying runs on and bring the winning run to the plate. But then Suarez got a fly out from Mike Ford. The game was left up to Spencer Steer.
Suarez stares into Campusano. Now he comes set. The 1-2 pitch kind of muscled off the handle into shallow left. Kim is back. He makes the catch, and the ball game is over. Padres wrap up a 5-2 road trip with a 10-inning win here in Cincinnati. The final score this afternoon, the Padres 6 and the Reds 4.
A really nice extra inning win for the Padres on this Thursday. Final again, Padres 6, Reds 4. Padres had 6 runs, 12 hits, no errors. The Reds had 4 runs, 8 hits, and no errors. By the way, how about this? The Padres had 10 or more hits in 5 games of this road trip, and guess what? You guessed it. They won all 5. The 2 they lost, they were shut out. But the Padres do put together a 5-2 trip. Again, they're 27-26 now, a game above 500. Cincinnati drops to 20-30. Jeremiah Estrada picked up his first win as a Padre. Robert Suarez picked up the save. He's now 14 for 14 in save opportunities. And Sam Mull took the loss for Cincinnati. He's now 0-1. Before we hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt, let's quickly pause for station ID on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios as we wrap this one up. Final score in 10, the Padres 6 and the Reds 4. Let's go back to Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati, Ohio, and here's some post-game reaction.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. Presented by Sinley Food. Spice up your culinary life.
Like a lot to talk about, but clutch hitting by, I guess, the bunt, Tatis's hit. Did you make good the 10th?
It was a lot to unpack. We'll start with the 10th. I mean, I just love Arraez bringing it with him. You know, this guy's got 3 knocks on the day, swinging the bat well, and just looking to make a good baseball play, and was rewarded by being able to beat it out. And then Toddy just staying with it. He's had some good swings like we alluded to yesterday. A couple more good swings a day. Doesn't get discouraged, and ropes that ball down the left field line. So that was clearly huge to get Campy in, and Jake did enough in the sac fly. Rise a nice read on the ball as well, and of course Suarez brought it home. So a lot of good things, a lot of good team baseball.
Jeremiah Estrada, how much better is he pitching? And I also wonder, you kept him in there for that 2nd inning, and I wonder when all that went into the decision to have him go back out for the 9th.
Couple things, first of all, you did a great job to finish the 8th. That was fantastic. He's one of our fresher guys right now. He was efficient for the 8th. We like the matchups for the 9th. We couldn't take him but so far, but ball's coming out really good. He's commanding the baseball with this kind of stuff. That's a great recipe for us. So just rode with him through the 9th, and he rewarded us.
It's hard to come up with like ways to describe Arise at this point. I mean, it's almost surprising like when he doesn't get on base. But what can you say just about his just this road trip really? But just since he's joined you guys, what he's been.
It's really hard to capture because it's so many positives, right? I mean, this guy's been tremendous. He's just taking great at bats the whole time, and he's prepared and it comes right in. And I don't know how much history he's got with Mole there in the 10th, but he comes in and sits right down, and he's just dissecting him on the iPad, and you can just see him. He's a genius, man. He just can. He's got this great talent that's coupled with a high baseball IQ, with great focus, and a great approach, and then great physical hand-eye talent. It's just like a perfect blend of a guy that knows what he's doing with the bat in his hand.
I mean, just to put a bunt down at that moment, like he probably felt like I'm going to get on base, and this is even going to work for me now. He just seems to be so locked in.
Yeah, he's super locked in. That's right. He dissected everything that was out in the field, and this is what the situation calls for, and couldn't have rolled it out much better.
Mike, the double steal attempt, is that the first time that you guys have thrown down a second?
No, it's not the first time. We actually, there's a lot of variables that go into it. I won't get into the details, but, it's a big play in the game. There's 3 defensive plays I want to recognize in the game, that being the first one, because it gets an out and basically, takes a run off the board. So give Higgy a lot of credit. Gave a really nice throw to Kimmy right there, and he's able to transfer it into another accurate throw to the plate. And then Kimmy's double play ball, that little short hop in the 3rd, that was a big play. I'm sure we'll get to Matt Waldron, but he settled down. But that was a nice little, okay, I'm going to catch a short hop, turn the double play, get 2 outs for 1. And then Manny's play in the 5th. I mean, that's a big play. You look back at it, we took a run off the board in the 1st with a nice executed defensive play. And then Manny in the 5th, we got, the infield back, we got the lead. You got a guy like De La Cruz, Manny's playing in a little bit, reads it, and just makes a nice throw. Made it look easy, but not an easy play, especially with the runner. So, just a really good baseball play to help us win.
He makes everything kind of look easy. He's just so smooth, especially in a situation like that. That one that shows up kind of the difference between him and most third basemen. I mean, that was just like a throw to first.
It is for me. It is for me, because now it's the smoothness, it's the ease of it, but it's also the situation. A high percentage of guys, understandably, field that ball, infields it back, De La Cruz is running, and get the out, and he just, nice and easy play, throws it home, but made it look easy, clearly not, but a high baseball IQ play. Ended up being a big play in the game. And let's don't forget Jackson's bunt. Jackson's bunt helped us get going too, and a lot of good things happened beyond that.
Matt was just behind a lot, kind of, and then was able to grind, but
that was it.
Yeah.
Couldn't command the ball either pitch. Had to come in the zone with some hitters counts, and they put some swings on him. I give him a ton of credit though, because he actually, if you look at, I'm sure you have, but he gets better as the game goes. His numbers are better. You're riding the rail a little bit with him, and early on, but didn't have a ton of bullpen. Didn't have a long guy today. And to his credit, he stepped right up. Again, Kimmy told play ball in the 3rd was huge. His ability to grab the 4th and 5th were outstanding as well. And he got better as he went. And again, to his credit, didn't have his best stuff. That's what you look for as a trait in a starting pitcher, is the guy that, doesn't have his best stuff early and figures it out to be able to get you to 5, sometimes 6 innings. And that's huge, and I give him a lot of credit for it. He deserves it.
Hey, what went into Jake moving over? And you've kind of have sort of expressed a preference for kind of situational. Like you like to keep a guy in the same position.
Right.
What will be your plan going forward?
We're going to still see what it looks like. This guy Crony's won 2 Gold Gloves, and so you look up and you get the news with Bogey, and you say, okay, let's step back and look at this thing a little more holistically. And to Jake's credit, he came in and said, look, he's always this way. He's a winning player and a great teammate. He said, I'm willing to go over and move play second if that's on your radar. And so we just looked at it, and we'll continue to look at it. But today, that was the best lineup we felt like we could put out there.
I just want to make sure I had it straight. Just when you say that Luis looked at the iPad,
He's going
Just
to.
like
I'm
that.
sorry. Go ahead. Yeah, I mean, he does it. Guys do it all the time.
Yeah.
They come in, look at the iPad
before
the at bat, you know, and have, you know, create some familiarity with him. I just appreciated the great seed of it right there, just how you could just tell how intent he was to it. I mean, again, guys do it all across the league, including our club, so he's not an anomaly for that. But you know, it was just like you could just see the math taking place with what he was wanting to do with this guy and how he's trying to figure out how he could best compete for the situation. I thought it was highly impressive.
Did you know that he was, when you guys were looking to trade for him, obviously, I mean, his high IQ and like his baseball IQ, I mean, is he kind of known for that, like in circles, or did you know that?
He is known for it. I wasn't aware of to the level because I just, you know, the last couple of years, remember him in Minnesota, played against him some, always appreciated and respected the talent. But, you know, Skip Schumacher, were actually the deal, and he was, and you know, I value his opinion highly. I've known him for a long time, and trust his evaluation. And he's like, this guy's desire to win, competitive spirit, but also his baseball acumen and how he sees the game and his ability to execute the game is really, really special. And he was completely right.
You can't teach that.
You can't teach it. That's right. It's
That's a
impressive.
guy with acumen.
That's right.
Schumacher.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Exactly right.
That was Padres manager Mike Shildt after this game here today. Padres beating the Cincinnati Reds 6-4 in 10 innings. Sam Levitt back with you inside our San Diego studios as we wrap this one up. A lot to chew on there for Mike Shildt, obviously speaking very, very glowingly and rightfully so about Luis Arraez, and a lot of good stuff about the bullpen and Jeremiah Estrada and reasoning there why Jake Cronenworth was at second base today. So a lot of good stuff there, good stuff to chew on from Mike Shildt after a very nice road trip and a very nice win in Cincinnati today. When we come back, we'll talk more about that Padre bullpen because I think they are really worth talking about when you look at what they did throughout this road trip. And we'll talk more about Estrada as well. I know I got to him in the opening segment, but we'll talk more about the bullpen and much, much more. And if you want to get involved on our pregame show, you can do that in a couple of ways today. You can tweet at me or DM me on Instagram at SammyLev, SammyLev. If you are watching on our fancy new video streams, you can comment on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, wherever you want to comment, and I may cycle through some of those as we go along. I am taking you, probably for the next still 20, 25 minutes up until Gwyn and Chris. It'll be Chris Ello, Matt Scraby today. They'll take you until 6 o'clock. Then Scraby's got you from 6 to 7. So we still got a little while to go here on our post-game coverage. And then after me, it'll be Matt Scraby, Chris Ello with you until 6 p.m. Final score in 10, Padres 6, Reds 4. Much more post-game coming up after this on the Padres Radio Network. Our post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Final score here today, Padres 6 and the Reds 4 in 10 innings. Another extra inning win for the Padres in the early part of this season. We certainly all remember how difficult that was for the Padres going back to last year. Well, the Padres have now played in 2 extra inning games this season through May 23rd, and they've won both. They won this one here today. They won that game in LA on April 12th. So far, the Padres have found a way to be a whole lot better in extra inning games than the 0-12 they started back in 2023 in those types of games. So good stuff there. Padres go 5-2 on the road trip to Atlanta and Cincinnati. They head home back to San Diego for the start of a 3-game series against the Yankees, above 500 at 27-26. This was also a really, really good trip for the Padre bullpen. Let's get more into it with our relief pitcher of the game.
Which pitcher was able to come in and slam the door shut? It's time for the relief pitcher of the game in support of the Jacobs and Cushman San Diego Food Bank, providing food assistance to local children, families, and seniors in need. To get help or give help, visit SanDiegoFoodBank.org.
2-2 the count. Here's the pitch and a swing and a miss. 97-mile-an-hour gas. How about 5 straight strikeouts from Jeremiah Estrada to send us to the 10th?
No doubt about it here today, Jeremiah Estrada, our relief pitcher of the game. He was great today. 2 scoreless innings, struck out 5. The stuff once again looked great. Scoreless 8th inning, scoreless 9th inning, a big part of the reason this game got to the 10th inning, still tied at 4. He had a really, really, really good road trip, Estrada did. Now has an 0.66 ERA in 10 appearances, 13 2/3 innings. How about this? He struck out 20, walked only 4 in his first 13-plus innings of the year. He's been really, really good, and I talked about it in the opening segment. He had a big-time road trip. Whether you want to look at, think about the 3 appearances he had on this road trip. Jeremiah Estrada. The first game of the road trip, Estrada, remember, that's the game where Robert Suarez came in to face the top of the Braves lineup in the 8th inning, and then the question became who would close, and Estrada did. He picked up his first major league save and his first major league save opportunity. So that was the first outing. Then he appears in game 1 of the doubleheader on Monday. That's after the Padres score 4 runs in the 8th inning to take a 6-5 lead. It's a 1-run game, bottom of the 8th inning. Estrada comes in a classic setup role, 8th inning, 1-run game, 1-2-3 frame. And then here today, he's asked to go 2 innings, keep the game tied, and was terrific once again. So when you talk about this bullpen, the emergence of Jeremiah Estrada is a really, really big deal right now. I really think it is, because we had talked about it going back a month and a half now, how no one had really stepped up into that primary, forget lefty, righty, but that primary setup role behind Robert Suarez. And now, I think you say with confidence, it's Jeremiah Estrada, right? And based on the way he's been used on this road trip, so that is a major development for this bullpen. And speaking of this bullpen, how about this? 24 2/3 innings total on this trip, 7 games. They gave up a grand total of 3 runs. The bullpen as a whole had a 1.12 ERA on this 7-game road trip. So it wasn't just Estrada, it wasn't just Suarez. The bullpen top to bottom on this trip was really, really good. The only runs they gave up, the 2-run home run given up by De Los Santos today, and then the other run they gave up came on Saturday in a win. Stephen Kolek in the game in the 9th inning where they led 9-0, so the game was already put away pretty much. Kolek gave up a run in the 9th inning. Braves didn't get shut out. They lost 9-1. Padres won the game. Those were the only 3 runs the Padres gave up out of the bullpen in this series, in this road trip, I should say. 7-game trip. So really, really good stuff. And look, they'll need to continue being good because you've got a big-time Yankees team coming to town. They've got a lot of big hitters on that team. So the bullpen continuing to do what it's done, that will be a big key, no doubt about it. When we come back, we'll take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard, tell you about our player of the game, and continue to break down this game as the Padres win this road trip finale in Cincinnati. Final in 10, Padres 6, Reds 4. More after this on the Padres Radio Network. Our postgame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Final score here today in 10, the Padres 6 and the Reds 4. We had a tie game at 4 heading into the 10th inning. Padres find a way to score 2 runs in the top of the 10th inning. They take the lead on Fernando Tatis Jr.'s go-ahead RBI double. They would get one more run, and then Robert Suarez doing Robert Suarez-type things in the bottom half of the 10th inning. Shuts the door, his 14th save of the season, and he's done that in as many opportunities. He has been absolutely terrific. We talked about the success of the Padres bullpen really on this road trip in our last segment, and certainly Suarez, he continues to be a very, very big part of it. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios as we continue to break down this one in Cincinnati earlier today. Let's tell you about our player of the game.
Which player had the biggest impact on today's game? Let's find out who is today's player of the game. Presented by Valley View Casino and Hotel. Catch every game at Patties and Pints. Plus, enjoy $4 beer every Thursday. Visit valleyviewcasino.com today.
0-1. Montas delivers and Arise off the handle, floats it into shallow right field. That's going to get down and a base hit. Merrill trots home from third, an RBI single. Luis Arise, he's 2 for 2, and the Padres lead it 4-1.
Luis Arise, our player of the game. How can he not be? 4 hits again, his second consecutive 4-hit game. It's his 8th game in a row with multiple hits. and he has 2 straight 4-hit games for the very first time in his major league career, yesterday and today. You look at the road trip for Arraez between the games in Atlanta and Cincinnati. He went 8 for 19 in Atlanta, then 10 for 14 in Cincinnati. So in the 7 games, he went 18 for 33. That's 545 on the road trip. And the way this guy gets it done, I mean, it is just a joy to watch. And you knew the kind of hitter, the kind of reputation he had when he arrived in San Diego just a few weeks ago. But there's a difference between knowing who he is from afar and seeing this guy play every day. I mean, it is remarkable the way he gets it done. Just an absolute pure hitter. And then the drag bunt today in the 10th inning, that was a huge moment in that 10th inning. Really set the stage, sparked the rally. Fernando comes up, the double after that to give the Padres the lead, and they never gave that lead back. So once again, just a terrific performance. 4 more hits for Luis Arraez, who had a terrific road trip. And you zoom out, you'll look at his numbers so far since the trade. 17 games, 74 at-bats. He's hitting .419 with a .449 on-base percentage. By the way, this is a guy who's not known for a lot of power, right? He's got a .963 OPS in 17 games. So I think Padres fans are falling in love with this guy, and rightfully so. I mean, he has just been tremendous, and in the midst of a 28-game on-base streak, the longest of his career and the longest by anybody in the major leagues so far this season. So you can't say enough about Luis Arraez, what he's done to show up and play the way he's played, especially on this road trip, the walk-off hit against the Dodgers to start that homestand. Man, it has been awfully impressive. Another 4-hit game for Luis Arraez. So credit to him. He's shown up and he's been as advertised. If you want to get involved on our post-game coverage, you can do that by tweeting at me or Instagram DMing me at SammyLev, SammyLev. If you would rather get involved on our video streams, comment there. I'm going to read some comments during our final segment, so get them in now. You can comment on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. I'll get to your tweets, your Instagram DMs, and your comments all coming up in our final segment. And then after I'm done with the next segment, you'll hear from Chris Ello and Matt Scraby. They'll take you up until 6 p.m. Scraby will have you from 6 to 7. So much more Padres talk coming your way here on 97.3 The Fan. Let's take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard.
Let's take a trip around the Bigs and tell you about the scores you need to know in our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Meat, where great taste meets integrity.
We take a look at scores from around the major leagues. We have a lot of finals already early in the day, a lot of day games today. Yankees beat the Mariners 5-0 in New York. Aaron Judge, a home run in that game for the Yankees. So the Yankees, they're playing really well. They're 35-17. They're the best team in the AL right now, and they are heading to San Diego. So that's going to be a tough series starting tomorrow at Petco Park, but intriguing, no doubt about that. Giants beat the Pirates in Pittsburgh earlier, 7-6. Giants came back to win that game. They got 5 runs in the 8th inning. Phillies beat the Rangers 5-2 earlier in Philadelphia. Nick Castellanos, a home run in that game for Philly. We talked in the pregame about how good Philly's been. Well, they continue to win. Sweep the Rangers, defending world champions. By the way, the Rangers just 24-27, but the Phillies again win it here today, 5-2. Braves blank the Cubs 3-0 in Chicago. Jared Kelenic, a home run in that game for Atlanta. By the way, one other note, just because we talked about it pregame on that Giants-Pirates game, Paul Skeens made his 3rd major league start. He was good. 6 innings, 1 earned run given up, 6 hits. He only struck out 3 in this game. Remember, he struck out 11 in 6 no-hit innings his last time out against the Cubs. But Skeens, again, a quality outing. 6 innings, 1 run given up. His ERA now in 3 starts is 2.25. So very highly touted pitching prospect. Pitching like it so far. One game going on right now. Rockies and the A's in Oakland. Rockies ahead 4-1 in the 8th inning. Quiet day otherwise. We have 2 more games on the schedule. Blue Jays and the Tigers in Detroit at 3:40. And finally, the Orioles in Chicago against the White Sox at 4:40 as well. And that's a look at the full out-of-town scoreboard on this Thursday, around the major leagues. When we come back, we'll hear our play of the game. We'll wrap things up, put a bow on this series, this road trip, this extra inning win, and we'll get you ready. The Yankees are coming to town to Petco Park tomorrow. We'll preview that series and then flip things over to Gwynn and Chris. Today, Chrisello, Matt Scraby will be with you until 6 p.m., and then Scraby has you till 7. We wrap up our post-game show when we come back on the Padres Radio Network. Our post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios as we wrap this one up. Good win for the Padres here today as they beat the Cincinnati Reds by a final score of 6-4. Sam Levitt with you here inside our San Diego studios. Again, we'll flip things over to Chrisello and Matt Scraby in just a handful of minutes here. They'll have much more on today's game as the Padres wrap up what was a very, very good 5-2 road trip to Atlanta and Cincinnati. The Padres had 10 or more hits in 5 out of the 7 games on this road trip, and no coincidence, they won those 5 games. So I think everybody considering, and this is really what I talked about in the opening segment right after the game, I think considering where the Padres were entering this road trip, you got to be really, really happy with what happened on this trip. Remember, they went to Atlanta after that sweep at the hands of the Rockies. Things were not feeling great. They really weren't. And they bounced back in a big way. They win the first 3 in Atlanta. They end up losing the second game of the doubleheader. All right, frustrating game 1 in Cincinnati. But when they lost that first game in Cincinnati, you really felt like, okay, now they've got to go take care of business. This is a team that you should be able to handle, a team that's not playing well in Cincinnati, and a team that is banged up. And you know what? The Padres, to their credit, they did, and they found a way to win this game in extras. So very, very nice win for the Padres, certainly. And we'll see if they can keep it rolling at home. I'll get to some of your comments and your tweets here before we wrap up in a second. But first, let's hear today's play of the game.
What was the crucial play that determined who came out on top? This is today's play of the game, presented by Bill Howe Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
Ball is ready. Here's the 2-2 to Fernando. Swung on, ripped fair down the left field line. That's going to go to the corner. Campusano can walk home from third. Arise is speeding towards third. He'll be held there. Tatis into second with an RBI double. And the Padres go back in front, 5-4 here in the 10th.
Fernando Tatis Jr. providing our play of the game today. That go-ahead RBI double in the 10th inning made it a 5-4 Padre lead. They got one more run in the top of that 10th inning, and then Robert Suarez shutting the door for the save. Very nice job by Suarez once again, and the Padres go on to win it 6-4. You hope that's a sign of things to come for Fernando Tatis Jr. because he had sort of a rough series. Otherwise, Fernando 1 for 4 yesterday, did have an RBI and scored a run, but did have a 1 for 4 day on Tuesday. So you know what, looking at it, I mean, he did have a hit in each of the 3 games. But as we know, the numbers overall have not been super, super great for Fernando to start the year. But hey, big hit in the 10th inning in a spot where you really, really needed it. And look, while he is hitting behind Luis Arise right now, with what Arise is doing, boy, the Padres need Fernando to be that version of Fernando that we've seen before, right? I mean, what a combination 1-2 in this lineup that would be. If Arise keeps doing what he's doing and then Fernando gets hot like we know he's capable of, man, that's a heck of a 1-2 punch at the top of the lineup. So we'll see if Fernando can carry any momentum into the series against the Yankees. I'll talk about that series against the Yankees in just a second. I do want to just get to some of your tweets and your DMs and your comments here. I want to give a shout out to a Twitter user that tweets at me quite a bit. The handle is ProlificSD. And the reason I want to shout out ProlificSD is because, and now I'll admit, I did a lot of tweeting the last couple of days about Luis Arise, and rightfully so, based on what he was doing. I tweeted out after he had 2 hits that Luis Arise has 2 hits and tweeted out some numbers. And ProlificSD said he's getting 4. Okay. Then I tweeted out how Luis was 3 for 3 today. ProlificSD said, I told you, he's getting 4. And what do you know? He ends up with 4 hits. So good job by Twitter user there. Nice job. You were all over it today. 4 hits. You believed in a 4-hit game the whole way. A second straight 4-hit game for Luis Arise. And guess what? You were right. So good job by ProlificSD on Twitter. He did a nice job predicting all that. All right, let's run through some comments here, and then we'll wrap things up and get out of here. We got Jacob on YouTube. I'm going to just scroll through YouTube comments here. Estrada has great stuff. I hope he keeps it up. The 8th is locked down. Jacob, I agree with you on everything. I mean, the stuff is outstanding. We knew that. He's been great so far, and I think he has established himself as the primary setup guy for Robert Suarez right now. The way they've used him this road trip, I think that's pretty clear at this point. Dan saying props to AJ, that's AJ Preller, for Cease and Arise. And look, in the cases of both, Cease has not been as sharp lately, last couple of outings, but he's been really, really good and had that stretch for 4 or 5 outings where he was just dominant. They've both been really good. And look, I think AJ Preller deserves some credit here, certainly. When you make trades like that and you have guys come in and contribute the way they have, both of those guys, it's a good feeling for your ball club and your organization, and it means a lot. So, we've seen it go the other way with some Padres trades before, right? But with both those guys, and especially in the case of Arise lately, I mean, they've come to San Diego and they've been great. So right now, those trades have been very, very successful for this team. One more from Jacob here. Need to win at home now. Jacob, it's a good point. We know the Padres have played really well on the road. They've hit really well on the road. It has not been the same, both the wins and the offense at home. And it's going to be a major, major test for this team against the Yankees and the Marlins now. Because, number one, the Yankees are a great team. So it's a tough series, whether you're in San Diego or New York. But, hey, I mean, let's be honest about it. Padres at home against teams you feel like they should beat, the Rockies being a prime example. The last time the Padres were home, they have struggled in those situations. So that Marlins series, don't overlook that series. Hey, you got to take care of business if you want to be a postseason team against teams like the Miami Marlins with the way they've struggled this year. And you're playing at home, a place where you've struggled. So they do need to win at home, Jacob. Jeff saying, I think it says a lot about the chemistry and soul of this team when outsiders come in, Arise, Peralta, etc., and just immediately start clicking and contributing. Jeff, I agree with you. I think it's the sign of a good ball club when guys show up and contribute. And look, Peralta today had 3 hits, had an RBI yesterday. Yeah, he's shown up and he's done a nice job. And I think Peralta's going to play a lot here. I do. With Xander out and some of the versatility the Padres have defensively in other spots, Peralta's going to play. So you hope he keeps it up. He had 3 hits today. So really nice game for Peralta. We've got MV Fort saying we needed this win. We have the Yankees coming to our house. I'm not sure about the last part because Soto and Judge are definitely coming. That was me talking there. But look, Yankees are coming. A win here today certainly feels good to wrap up the trip. John saying that one was big because now the Pods will only be... John, I'm not reading the rest. The point John's making in his comment was he's assuming things are not going to go well against the Yankees is how I'm going to wrap it up. Hey, I mean, have a little bit more confidence than that. See, this is me looking at the comments quickly. Not that I'm going to avoid negative comments per se, but I think this one's a little unfair. We've got the Sand Cactus Man saying this team plays so much better and different than last year. They got that spark. Look, there's no doubt about it. There are games this year that you just feel like they wouldn't have won last year. You could even put this one in that category, right? I mean, let's be honest. Last year's team started 0-12 in extra inning games. So they're already 2-0 in extra inning games this year. We've seen them come back from 4 runs down, even more than that, a few times already. Yeah, it feels different. It does. They've played differently in a lot of different kinds of games and situations. We've got Zach saying, looking good, Sammy. Love the post-game show. Sending good vibes from Japan. Zach, appreciate all that very much. I have, for those of you watching, I have not a beard. It's definitely not a beard, but I have not shaved in like a week. So I got to shave before we go back to the ballpark tomorrow. Things are getting a little bit messy. Greasy saying, and now we're getting into some just funny ones here at the end. What did you end up getting for breakfast, Sammy? I ended up going to a local bagel shop right around the studio here during the game. Quick trip to the bagel store and got a nice bacon, egg, and cheese on an onion bagel. Very yummy. I enjoyed it. All right, we'll end with that. Little breakfast talk. We had a little Padres and pancakes this morning, and the breakfast ended up being pretty sweet. Padres got the win 6-4 in 10 innings over the Cincinnati Reds. As always, if you missed any of our post-game coverage, you can go back and listen to all of it. We talked about a lot, the bullpen, Luis Arise, the road trip as a whole, and you can always go back and listen to all of it on the Inside San Diego Baseball podcast with Sam Levitt. You can find it on the Odyssey app or wherever you find your podcasts, and also a great way to go back and watch and or listen to any of our post-game shows. You can do that via YouTube now, and really easy to do it on the 97.3 The Fan YouTube channel. Taking a look ahead to tomorrow in the series against the New York Yankees coming to town. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. First pitch tomorrow at 6:40. Same time on Saturday, a 1:10 first pitch on Sunday. We've got really good pitching matchups in that series. Let me read them to you right now. Tomorrow, right-hander Yu Darvish against left-hander Carlos Rodon. Saturday, right-hander Dylan Cease against right-hander Marcus Stroman. Sunday, right-hander Joe Musgrove against right-hander Clark Schmidt. So some good pitching matchups and a good one tomorrow. Again, Darvish for the Padres, Rodon for the Yankees. First pitch tomorrow at 6:40. And our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show from Petco Park will begin at 5:40. Taking a look at the final totals in this game here today in Cincinnati. The final in 10 Final totals in 10. For the Padres, 6 runs, 12 hits, no errors. They left on 6. For the Reds, 4 runs, 8 hits, no errors. They left on 8. Winning pitcher was Jeremiah Estrada, who picks up his first win as a Padre. And Estrada improves to 1-0 on the year. The loss goes to Sam Moll. He drops to 0-1, and the save goes to Robert Suarez, his 14th save of the year. One note on the win for Estrada, and I'm just sort of realizing this now, not only his first win as a Padre, but also his first major league win, period. So congratulations to Jeremiah Estrada, pitching really well, and that was his first major league win. So nice job by Jeremiah. Time of game, a long one, 3 hours and 15 minutes, and the crowd at Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati, Ohio, 16,479. Once again, first pitch tomorrow against the Yankees at 6:40. Our pregame coverage begins at 5:40. Until then, for our great studio coordinator, Frank Marchese, I'm Sam Levitt saying so long from inside our San Diego studios. Again, the final score in 10 innings, the San Diego Padres 6 and the Cincinnati Reds 4. Chris Ello, Matt Scraby coming up next on 97.3 The Fan. We'll talk to you tomorrow on the Padres Radio Network.